Do you believe that there is something beyond life, that the spirit, upon leaving the body, actually goes to another place? Get ready, because today I am going to share with you truths that few dare to speak about, information that is hidden, suppressed by those who prefer to pretend that everything ends here. Why do skeptics avoid the subject so much? Do they know more than they say and prefer to ignore the truth, or do they have something to hide? You are about to discover what they don't want you to know. Imagine for a moment what goes through the mind of someone who sees their own body from the outside in a near-death experience. Lights, inexplicable sensations, and encounters with something or someone that many say is beyond this world. Why do so many people report this? Coincidence or a hidden truth? And what if I told you that these experiences shake both science and spirituality, and above all the certainties you have been told so far? And there's more. At any moment, this video could be taken down because we are talking about deep issues, revealed truths that many prefer to keep in the shadows. Stay with me until the end, and I have a special gift for you, something that will expand your mind like never before. Now comment below where you are watching from and type the keyword awakening to show that you are truly ready for this journey. Are you ready to know what happens when the spirit leaves the body? Are you prepared for what comes next? What each tradition says about the departure of the spirit. The idea that the spirit leaves the body at the end of life is ancient and present in almost all cultures and religions. Each one brings a unique interpretation of this moment, offering rich and intriguing perspectives. Let's explore how some of the most well-known traditions perceive this mystery. Hinduism. In Hinduism, death is seen as a natural passage from one existence to another. The soul, called Atman, leaves the physical body and is reborn into another, following the cycle of samsara, the wheel of rebirths. This process is linked to karma, which determines in what form the spirit will be reborn. For Hindus, leaving the body is just a transition to a new journey of learning and evolution. Buddhism. Similar to Hinduism, Buddhism also believes in reincarnation, but with a slightly different approach. When the spirit leaves the body, it enters the bardo state, a sort of intermediate stage. During bardo, consciousness has no physical body but is subject to intense sensations and visions. The next reincarnation is defined by karma and the mental states the person cultivated during life. The ultimate goal of a Buddhist is to escape this cycle of rebirths, reaching the state of nirvana, where suffering no longer exists. Christianity. For Christianity, death marks a unique and definitive transition. At the moment the spirit leaves the body, it is believed to undergo judgment, where God determines its eternal destiny, either paradise or another spiritual reality. Christianity emphasizes that the soul is immortal, and that this moment of departure is the beginning of a new spiritual life, awaiting the day of resurrection. According to doctrine, the dead will reunite with their bodies once again. Spiritism. In Spiritism, death is a passage that frees the spirit from the physical body, which was just a temporary vessel. The spirit continues its journey in the spiritual plane, where it can reunite with deceased family and friends. According to Spiritist doctrine, the spirit may reincarnate into a new body, always with the purpose of learning and evolving spiritually. The experiences and lessons of each life influence the spirit's spiritual progress and understanding of the world and itself. These diverse interpretations demonstrate the depth with which cultures deal with the mystery of death and the spirit's destiny. Exploring these beliefs provides a universal approach, showing that no matter how different they are, they all share a common search to understand what happens when we leave this physical plane and what lies beyond. What science says about consciousness after death. Unlike spiritual beliefs, science sees death as a physical and neurological phenomenon. The focus is on explaining what happens in the body and brain in the final moments of life, and understanding to what extent consciousness is something that can truly continue after biological functions cease. The brain, in its final moments. During the final moments of life, the brain undergoes a gradual decline, but this can generate surprising phenomena. Studies with patients in cardiac arrest show that before completely ceasing activity, the brain goes through a burst of electrical activity. This could explain reports from those who have experienced intense sensations during near-death experiences. Neuroscientists suggest that this activity might create a heightened state of consciousness, generating visions or the sensation of leaving one's own body. How some report consciousness as a product of the brain. For most scientists, consciousness is the result of neural activity. This means that when the brain stops, consciousness also ceases to exist. Skeptics argue that sensations reported during near-death experiences are not spiritual, but rather reflections of chemical and electrical processes in a collapsing brain. Substances such as dopamine and serotonin, which are released in large quantities at the moment of death, can influence the types of experiences and sensations felt in those moments. Near-death experiences. From a scientific perspective, research shows that near-death experiences, such as the sensation of seeing a light at the end of the tunnel or encountering deceased loved ones, can be explained by biological factors. The light at the end of the tunnel is considered an effect caused by oxygen deprivation in the brain, and visions of family and friends may be products of stored memories that emerge in this extreme state of consciousness. The enigma of consciousness, science versus spirituality. Despite advancements, science still cannot fully explain the nature of consciousness. There are theories suggesting that consciousness may not be limited to the brain, but they are still speculative and controversial concepts. This mystery leaves a small opening for scientists and philosophers to speculate about the possibility that consciousness, in some way, could exist on another level, even if science has yet to prove it. Exploring these scientific views offers an important contrast in the video, attracting a diverse audience and broadening the discussion. While science cannot yet prove the existence of a spirit, it has also not been able to completely explain the phenomenon of consciousness, maintaining the mystery and fueling debates about what really happens when we leave this physical plane. What happens to our energy when we die? An intriguing idea that appeals to both scientific and spiritual minds is the principle that in physics, energy is not destroyed, it only transforms. This fundamental concept in science is the basis for the law of conservation of energy, which states that the total energy in an isolated system remains constant. In other words, the energy that makes up everything around us, including ourselves, does not disappear. It only changes form. Our body as living energy. The human body is largely composed of energy. The heat we emit, the electrical impulses that travel through our brain and nervous system, and even the chemical energy of our metabolic processes. All of this is part of the energy that keeps us alive and defines us physically. When the body ceases to function, the energy that composes us must go somewhere, whether as dispersed heat, nutrients absorbed by the earth, or other natural processes. But what about our more abstract energy, the one associated with consciousness and the inner self? Energy, transformation, and spirituality. Many spiritual and esoteric traditions believe that this inner energy is more than just electricity or heat. For some beliefs, the energy that constitutes consciousness or spiritual essence persists, merely changing form. Some say this energy reintegrates into the universe, while others believe it may continue to exist in a new form, whether in a new body through reincarnation, in a spiritual plane, or as a kind of essence that remains connected to our world. The mystery of consciousness as energy. If our consciousness or soul can be considered a form of energy, and if this energy does not disappear, it is possible to imagine that it may indeed persist in another form even after the physical body ceases to function. Although science does not yet have the tools to measure or directly observe this conscious energy, many researchers in physics and neuroscience are investigating the topic, trying to understand whether there is any scientific basis for this possibility. Energy transformation as a metaphor for continuity. Regardless of how you interpret the issue, the concept that nothing is lost, everything transforms, is powerful. It suggests that just as every particle of our body continues to exist and change form in the universe after death, our essence may also transform. It is a mystery that inspires us and makes us reflect on our connection with the cosmos, and about the possibility that our energy in some form may continue even when the body is gone. This concept creates a bridge between science and spirituality, allowing each person to interpret this continuity of energy according to their own beliefs. It reinforces the idea that perhaps there is something beyond physical life, life after death and reincarnation. Where does the spirit go? What really happens to the spirit after death? This is one of humanity's oldest and most enigmatic questions. Various theories have been proposed throughout time, coming from religions, spiritual traditions, and even philosophical and scientific perspectives, each offering a unique view on the fate of the spirit. The other world, the spirit's destiny in a new spiritual reality. Many religious and spiritual traditions believe that upon death, the spirit leaves the body and departs for another plane of existence. This other world is described in various ways. In Christianity, for example, there is the belief that the soul goes to heaven or hell, depending on its conduct and faith during life. In Islamic traditions, there is the idea of an eternal life alongside God or in another spiritual realm. This concept of another world may vary, but it generally involves a transcendental reality where the spirit finds peace, justice, or eternity, depending on the person's actions and beliefs during their earthly life. Staying in our plane. Living energy. Some traditions and beliefs, such as Spiritism and various Eastern philosophies, suggest that the spirit does not go to a distant place, but remains in our plane. In Spiritism, it is believed that the spirit can continue to exist in a different way, interacting with and influencing the world around it, but in another dimension, which many call the spiritual plane. Here, the spirit can eventually communicate with the living, help, and learn. This perspective sees death not as a final farewell, but as a transformation, where the spirit still retains the ability to interact with the world of the living. Reincarnation, the spirit's journey in a new body. The theory of reincarnation suggests that the spirit does not completely depart from the earthly experience, but returns to live new lives in new bodies. This is a fundamental belief in religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism, where it is understood that the soul, or essence, keeps returning until it reaches a state of spiritual perfection and complete wisdom. Each life is an opportunity to learn, purify, and evolve, with the goal of freeing oneself from the cycle of reincarnations and achieving a state of absolute peace, known as moksha in Hinduism or nirvana in Buddhism. A universal theory, life after death as a multidimensional experience. For some thinkers and spiritual studies, life after death may not be limited to a single experience of another world remaining in our plane or reincarnation. Instead, the fate of the spirit may be multifaceted, involving different layers or dimensions. One of these theories suggests that the spirit may choose between various options after death. It can pass into another plane of existence, remain close to loved ones in our world as a form of energy, or reincarnate. This multidimensional view considers that each experience is valid and possible, and that the spirit's destiny may vary according to its evolution and needs. The great question, the spirit's destiny as a reflection of human evolution. These theories about the spirit's fate after death show how much humanity seeks an answer about its own immortality and continuity, whether in paradise, a new life, or as an ethereal presence among the living. These beliefs reveal the human desire that in some way our essence survives and continues to evolve. Ultimately, This relentless search for an answer to the mystery of death connects and inspires us, reminding us that life and death may be part of a greater, deeper cycle, one that we may only fully understand when we finally cross to the other side. Accounts from mediums and spiritual visions, a window into the afterlife. Among the many approaches to what happens after death, the accounts of mediums who claim to communicate with spirits are perhaps the most intriguing and mysterious. According to these mediums, spirits retain a form of consciousness and even feelings after leaving the physical body, and this connection allows glimpses of what the other side is like. Experiences of contact with spirits, supernatural reports and details. Mediums describe contact with spirits as telepathic communication, where they can hear or feel messages, impressions and emotions coming from beings who have already passed away. These accounts often include descriptions of environments where spirits reside, perceived as places of light and calm, or in some cases, places of purification and learning. Spirits, according to these communications, still maintain the personality they had in life and can express affection, concern, or even a desire to help their loved ones who are still alive. Messages of peace and comfort for the living. Often, the messages brought by mediums are comforting and serve as consolation for those who have lost a loved one. These communications speak about the peace that the spirit has found, the love and gratitude it feels, and even how it watches over and protects those who remain. Some of these messages include details that the medium could not have known, which for many is proof that these contacts are authentic and that the spirit truly persists after death. Revelations about the process of disincarnation and the transition to the spiritual plane according to mediums. The moment when the spirit leaves the body, known as disincarnation, is a transition process in which it is assisted by other spirits or spiritual guides. During this passage, the spirit begins to gradually detach from the physical world, and some traditions say that this process can be confusing for those who have strong material attachments. In these accounts, the spirit goes through a kind of adaptation until it understands its new reality and can continue its journey. Stories of reconciliation and missions in the spiritual plane. Many mediums describe the spiritual plane as a place where spirits have missions and purposes. Some communications say that on the other side, spirits work to evolve, help other souls, and even guide the living through difficult times. There are stories of spirits seeking reconciliation or trying to resolve unfinished business, offering a vision that death does not completely end our relationships and that we can continue to develop, including spiritually. What it means for us, the mystery of the afterlife. These accounts from mediums and spiritual visions offer a different perspective on death, suggesting that life does not end when the body's functions cease. Despite differences from the scientific point of view, these reports generate mystery and inspire deep questions. Does the spirit really continue? Is there a life beyond the one we know? Exploring these stories in the video not only adds a layer of mystery but also connects people to the fascinating and eternal questioning of the afterlife, allowing each viewer to draw their own conclusions about what may actually happen when we cross the final frontier. Testimonies of loss and spiritual encounters. The connection that persists throughout history. Many have reported profound experiences after losing a loved one, describing moments when they felt the presence of those who had passed away. These stories resonate with the pain of loss, but also bring comfort that only those who have gone through these experiences can understand. Let's explore some of these testimonies that touch the heart and remind us that love transcends even death. The comforting touch of a beloved presence. Maria, who lost her mother 5 years ago, recounts how on a quiet night she felt a comforting warmth while sitting on her sofa. It was as if someone was hugging me. I knew it was my mother. She always said she would be with me, and at that moment I felt that she really was. Maria says that this experience helped her cope with her grief and feel the constant presence of love and protection in her life. The sign that they are well, Carlos shares that after his brother's death, he found a white feather on the ground shortly after the funeral. I had never seen a feather like that before. In that instant, I knew it was a sign. My brother always said that feathers were signs that he was okay. From that day on, I realized that he was always with me. This sense of continuity and connection brought Carlos the peace he had been searching for. Dream encounters. Ana recounts a vivid dream with her father, who had passed away unexpectedly. In the dream, she saw him smiling and saying that he was in a beautiful place, full of light and joy. I woke up with an inexplicable feeling of happiness. He had never looked so radiant. From then on, whenever I feel longing, I remember that dream and know that he is at peace. For Ana, these dream encounters became a refuge where she could reconnect with her father whenever she needed to. Messages in special moments. João says that on his birthday, he received an unexpected video from a friend who had passed away. The video was a recording the friend had made weeks before his death, celebrating their friendship and encouraging João to always move forward. I had never seen that video before. It was as if my friend was there telling me not to give up. It was an incredible gift and made me feel like he was still with me. And this experience not only brought João comfort, but also inspired him to continue with strength in his life. These moving stories not only illustrate the power of love that endures, but also touch the heart and soul of all who hear them. They remind us that loss can open doors to new forms of connection, and that even when loved ones pass away, they can continue to influence our lives in unexpected ways. Although the mystery of life after death remains, the testimonies of spiritual encounters and experiences of connection with deceased loved ones offer us hope and comfort. They encourage us to consider that, although physical life comes to an end, love is a force that transcends all barriers. If you have ever had a similar experience or wish to share your thoughts on what happens when the spirit leaves the body, leave your comment below. Remember, love never dies. It only transforms, and this transformation can guide and comfort us even in the darkest hours. Share this video with those who need hope and connection.